Welcome to the Nick Fong Podcast. As the broker and owner of Ronival Real Estate, Nick has spent nearly 20 years in Baja, California, Sur. And in this podcast, he'll be talking everything Baja, from food and culture to real estate and property management. And now, here's your host, Nick Fong.
Welcome back to the podcast. Today's guest is Eduardo Chávez, attorney and immigration specialist. Welcome.
Hello, thank you very much.
So the reason why I wanted you on the podcast, Eduardo, is the majority of our clients are American Canadian foreigners to Mexico. And the topic of immigration always comes up. And so I think the questions, the information we're going to bestow on everyone is going to be very helpful. So why don't we start off with a little bit about who you are? Where are you originally from?
I'm from Guadalajara. Mm-hmm. I was born in Guadalajara and I did all my legal apprentice there.
Yes.
I did the university and master's in Guadalajara. And then I started to move to Guerrero State as a district attorney.
Oh.
That's why I moved here, pretending to be district attorney, but with the experience that I have, the immigration hired me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you actually worked in the government immigration office?
Yes, actually, I worked there twice. Mm-hmm. The first time in 2003 to 2005 as the chief of the legal department. Mm-hmm. And the second time in 2016, just for almost a year, as the subdelegado or number 2 in the state. You can say that.
So you know immigration.
I know immigration rules. And
yeah. So talking about immigration and the importance of that. If I'm American by birth, right? And so when I came here 20 years ago, I came into Mexico on a tourist visa.
Yeah.
And even to this day, our clients can purchase real estate on a tourist visa. Right? Mm-hmm. But what are the benefits that someone has of getting a resident visa?
Okay, you can purchase a property being legal resident, legal in the country. With a tourist visa, you are legal. But as soon as you are becoming investor, when you purchase a property, you are not anymore a tourist, and then you are attached with taxes, property taxes, and anything related with your property, and then it's advisable to become resident.
Okay. Are there different variations of resident visas?
Yeah, the first one is the temporary residency, and the second one is permanent residency. The temporary residency, it's a residence for if you don't want to stay permanently in Mexico.
By the name of temporary.
Yeah, and then, but that migratory condition, it has to be renewed. And you have to complete 4 years as a temporary resident. Right. After 4 years, you can choose to become permanent or leave the country. That's why they say if you've been here for 4 years, it's because we understand that you want to become permanent.
Okay. So is that a hard decision someone has to make? Like you have to say, yes, I want to continue being a resident visa, so I must convert my temporary to permanent?
No, it's a right that you have. It's
okay,
a right
you don't
that
have
you
to
have.
do it.
It's a right, but if you don't want, you let it expire, and that's all.
Okay.
It ends there.
Okay, and then the temporary resident visas, you said you have to renew it. How often do you have to renew that?
It's for temporary, for 1, 2, or 3 years.
Okay.
It's depending. There are working visas that the contract is for 1 year, and then the employer or request to renew for 1 year only because they are hiring you for 1 year. And sometimes when you are just resident, like a retired, you can do it for 1, 2, or 3 years.
Okay. And so what are the advantages of having a permanent visa compared to a temporary visa?
According to Mexican law, the first one, the benefit, it's that you can become Mexican.
Okay.
To become Mexican, you have to be 5 years as a resident. Then you can add the temporary with the permanent. You have the rights to become a Mexican. But the permanent residency also allows you to be, if you're going to sell your property, it allows you to get an exemption.
Right.
It's an exemption, no total, but it's an exemption. Well, if you are selling your house that it's more than $1 million or something, there's a limit that the notaries, they have a base.
Yeah.
But if you are selling your property of 200, 500, you can deduct.
Yes. Free from capital gains taxes.
But it's a tool. In the last years, just to having the permanent residency was enough. And the utility bill in your name was enough. But right now, there's more
requirements like the RFC,
yes, and you have to prove that the main tax residency is here.
Yeah.
But I think that the accountants, they know how to do it.
It's flexible. There's flexibility in that.
But the most important is the permanency.
Yes.
Sometimes there are notaries that with the temporary residency, they allow it.
Even in 2022, that's still possible with some notaries. Okay.
Temporary and permanent. Then if you are doing some kind of selling, you have to talk to the notary just to find out if he agrees or not. But the most of them is permanent.
What if I want to set up a Mexican corporation as a foreigner? Is it a requirement to have a temporary or permanent resident visa?
Right now, the notaries are allowing tourist visa.
Okay, so you don't have to have temporary or permanent resident visa to open a Mexican corporation.
But the advisable is to be temporary or permanent.
Right.
Because if not, you are not going to be able to do any banking, nothing. And then the moment that you open the corporation, you're going to have to designate Mexican or a foreigner with residency as a power of attorney to do all that.
Yes.
And you will be out of the scene.
Yeah. So that's interesting because you have the government requirements and also banking requirements. And then, of course, every bank has their separate requirements.
Now the banks, if you have a debit or card, if you want to renew it, they don't renew it if you don't have the residency, because many people got their debit card, bank account, and they let the residency card expire. And then when they come back to this is my debit card is expired. What is your residency card?
Right.
I'm not anymore.
So it's important to be in touch with someone like yourself, an immigration attorney, to know those kind of things, or be in touch with your real estate agent.
Yes.
But the recording of this we're in April 2022. And so as of today, this is the most up-to-date information.
Yes, because as you know, being 20 years here, in this country, every year or almost every half year, things change.
What about the cost and time to get each of these visas?
Right now, because the COVID is diminishing. But right now, the most hassle, the worst, it's to get an appointment to the Mexican consulate. Okay. If you don't have any relative here, if you are not married with a Mexican, or if you don't have a Mexican children, you have to go directly to the Mexican consulate to make an appointment to be resident based on your savings or your income or your retiring records. Okay,
so the Mexican consulate, is that in your hometown or here in Mexico?
No, the Mexican consulates are outside of
Mexico. So if I'm from Chicago, the Mexican consulate in Chicago.
Because like 1 or 2 years ago, you were able to go to anyone.
Right.
But now they are asking to go to the Mexican consulate where you have your address.
So if you're in Dallas, Texas, the Dallas, Texas Mexican consulate.
Yeah, because every consulate is different. There are consulates more flexible.
Right.
And then you can try. Many people try to go to San Diego, but they are rejected. But if they go to Arizona or somewhere else, they are fine there.
And when they start with the Mexican consulate, what's the next step? What are they doing at the Mexican consulate?
At the Mexican consulate, you have to bring bank statements.
Okay.
Bank statements that shows an amount that I will be glad to share, because every case is particular.
Everyone, this is why Eduardo is so valuable. He's giving us the step-by-step procedures, but I know, because we send a lot of clients your way, is contact him, contact me, and you'll walk them through these steps.
I inform them, whatever the amounts are, you need to bring. If you are not a retired, you have to show 12 bank statements.
The last 12 months.
The last 12 months with a minimum. Yep. And if you are retirement, you have to show the last 6 months statements where your retirement is
What's the reasoning behind that by the Mexican government?
They want to try or prove that you are solvency. You have solvency to be in Mexico.
So you're not going to be a financial burden.
That's the most of the reason, but especially with Canadians or United States citizens,
the minimum requirement's easy.
It's easy, but because there are many people wanting to come here, the Mexican consulate they don't do only visas.
That's right.
They do attention to all the Mexicans, all the nationals that they are living on abroad.
Yes.
And that's why they have many things, passports, voting cards, everything. And then there's only a small department of visas. That's why the appointments are so long right now. But all the people made it.
Okay.
Because some of them, the first 4 emails, hey, I can contact them. You need to try and send them, call them, or go knock the door.
So we get past the first step, Mexican consulate. What's the next step?
In the Mexican consulate, in the interview, they're going to have an interview and show all the documents. And the most important question that they ask is,
why do you want to come to Mexico?
And how long are you going to pretend to stay?
Right.
Every year. And some people say, no, only 2 months or something like that. That's a mistake, because I always tell them, you have to say that you want to stay at least 6 months in Mexico every year. The 6 months doesn't have to be in a row.
Correct.
But you have to convince them, or just let them know that you have to be more than 6 months.
Right.
That doesn't have to be true.
Right.
Because nobody can prove the future.
Yep.
But it's the intention. It's
right.
the intention to be more than 6 months. And many of the people that goes to the consulates and wants to become resident is because they want to be more than 6 months.
Exactly.
But somebody...
They can make the mistake and say, I'm just going to go 2 months and then...
Because they say, I'm going to be resident, but when I retire later. But right now, just 1 month or 2 weeks every year. But that's not good, because they're going to tell them, no, you need a tourist visa.
Okay, so you do the interview with the consulate. What else?
If everything is okay with the statements and with the interview, they're going to stamp a sticker in your passport. It's a little sticker, square. That is a visa de canje. It's not a visa, it's a residency authorization.
Okay.
For you. It's only for 6 months. That sticker visa has your name, your passport number, your birth date, all your information. That document is on the federal cloud system.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Because when that document, it says, when it's in Spanish, but it says valid until this day to this day, 6 months, but it says valid only one entry. You have to use it just one time. When you be ready, you have to prepare enough time to do the paperwork here. You have to use it and show it. Very important, because I have been a lot of problems. When you arrive to no matter if you come for family where they don't have it,
yes.
If you don't want to be rude and not using the Mexicans line and go with them in the normal lines, show that visa to the immigration guys.
Yes.
Because if you don't show that visa, they're going to give you a tourist visa.
Yeah.
I call you tourist, but it's FMM. The FMM is a multiple migratory format. But they're going to give you one as a tourist.
Yes.
Because it's multiple. It's for tourists, for canje, for many things, for just pass. But in this case, if you don't show it, they're going to give you a tourist card, a tourist status. And if you go to immigration, they're going to deny, they're going to say, no, you can't do the canje, the residency, because you enter as a tourist.
Yeah.
We can do it if you fix that. You have to leave all the documents here and request it. And we have to send all the information to the airport and to the federal system, because they need to change the registration into the system to change it as a exchange.
So avoid that. That's tip number one.
Show the tourist, show the
visa that you got at the Mexican consulate in your hometown to the immigration officer
at the airport or in the border. Because many people drive. They want to drive at night, and they say there were nobody at the border. Always there is somebody sleeping, but somebody. Ask customs.
Right.
Customs, they are always there. Many. Where is immigration? You have to go there.
Yeah.
You need a stamp, and you're gonna need the same.
Yeah.
It's gonna have the stamp of a little car. I don't know if it's because some of them they receive the payments there.
Yes.
Some of them not, and then you have to wait to the other day to go to the bank and pay for the fee of the FMM of the tourist card, because the airlines, they already included in the ticket.
Yes.
But when you cross the border, it's not included, and you have to pay the rights of the entry fee.
Yes.
And they're gonna give you a receipt if they take the payments at the immigration office in the border. But if not, you have to wait to go to the bank at the following day and come back with the receipt.
Got it.
Because if not, if you're gonna be driving down, you're gonna be driving as illegal. And here, Cabo is not a port of entry. Driving is not a port of entry. Only by airport and by boat. But how are you gonna prove that came in a plane? What is your
right? Okay. So once again, great reason why you want someone like Eduardo to be helping you. Hey, thanks for being a part of the Nick Fong podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast to get the latest updates. And if you're watching this on our social channels, please like and share. And if you want to be featured or you want me to talk on a certain topic, food, activities, culture, real estate in the Baja, drop a comment. So when you come into the airport, it seems to me ideally, and you get the stamp, then what?
They're going to give you the FMM for 30 days.
Right.
Only,
okay.
Because to continue the residency process by law is 30 days. You have 30 days to go to immigration office to start the process, because when you got the necessary tools, but you have to get the file completed.
Here in Mexico.
In Mexico. At that moment, I always tell my clients, as soon as you enter, sometimes because if they are very short time, like a week or 2 weeks, stop by in my office or the following day, because you need to give me your passport, your FMM, and then I have to create the file, because that file has to be submitted at immigration as soon as possible for you to get the resident card.
Okay, when that happens, then what?
When I have the file completed, I set an appointment with the client at the immigration to be there and to process the file.
Okay. And that's still within the 30 days?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
You have to go the following or the next 2 days, because sometimes happens that the federal government, there's no system, there's no paint for the car, something happens. And then it's better if they have the reception stamp within the 30 days.
Okay.
And then it's not your problem. If that is the situation. If not, it can be done.
Okay. And when all that process is done, what happens next?
When the process is authorized and everything is okay, I receive an email from immigration, and then at that moment, we have to take the fingerprints and picture, and they print the card the same day.
So from the very first, if I call you today, I'm in Chicago, Illinois, Eduardo, I want to get my temporary resident visa. I go to the Mexican consulate and I start that process, right? From that day to that last point that you said with the fingerprints and everything, how much time are we?
I can calculate only as they arrive.
Okay, so...
Yes, because when they start to do the appointment at the Mexican consulate, I don't know when they're going to have the appointment.
Okay.
Sometimes 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 months.
So I get the stamp, right, in my passport. I come to Mexico.
Yeah, because then you're going to decide when to come, because they send me a picture. Hey, I got the sticker. All right, just plan your trip to be here at least 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's about 2 weeks because I need to create all the file.
Okay.
I say 2 weeks, but when they enter, I always request, please send me a picture of what document immigration gave you at the airport. And that's why, because I need to be sure that they got the proper entry.
Right.
Because when they have the 180 days, and we're going to need to fix this first. When are you leaving? That day, okay. We have to do it very fast because I need to get this fixed before I submit your file, because if not...
Okay, so from the time they come in back into Mexico and are with you at the immigration office, about a 2-week process.
1 2 weeks, depending because right now there's many people going to immigration office, and the appointment system is down, and now you have to be there early as possible and get a number.
Yeah.
The last time I was there, like Tuesday, they gave only 25 numbers.
Okay.
But the last week, they were 10, 15. It's depending because when the appointment system was good, you were able to do appointments for June, July, May. They need to check how many appointments that they have that day because the appointment system is down, but they have to continue with the appointments that were granted.
Right.
And then check how many appointments they have for that day. And according for that, they give several numbers.
All right. So here's a question. Can I bypass a temporary resident visa and go straight to a permanent resident visa?
There's only one way to pass from temporary to permanent, and it's showing income. But can I check because I just updated
This is real live information, and as what we were talking about earlier, this stuff always is changing. So Eduardo is checking.
You have to, if you are temporary and want to become permanent, you have to bring 12 bank statements.
Okay.
They have to be translated into Spanish by a Mexican translator, but the statement has to have at least a balance of $121,000 monthly balance.
Average,
every month, monthly.
Okay.
Not less.
Yes.
Because if you go less in 1 month,
no good.
No good.
And can it be a combination of accounts? Like
they are
accounts?
saying investments
Okay.
or 2 accounts. The investment, or if you have a property here, fideicomiso, you can use the
value of
the value of it, the purchase value.
So if you bought a $200,000 property, that would qualify?
It helps because you have to be solvency.
Okay.
But if you have the fideicomiso, it helps you a lot.
Okay.
If you are retired, it's less. You have to show $2,500 for the last 6 months.
2,500?
2,500 por mes. 2,500.
It's a lot less, no?
But that's why it's not that easy. But some people I've seen, like just a few, but because then, hey, I got the required amount, right? Then get the statements and send it to me because I need to translate them into Spanish by an official translator. And the official translator, they charge like $30-$40 per page.
Yes.
And then they have to take that into.
Okay, so there is a way to jump the temporary resident visa.
There is a way, and you have to show the balance. That balance is not included like mortgages or nothing. It has to be the income balance because immigration, they check that out. Okay. You have to make sure that your income investments are of that amount.
Okay, got it.
I can be more precisely when somebody says, okay, I want to try this, and then I communicate directly and send.
And I'm assuming year to year that requirement can change also.
Every year change.
Right.
Every year change.
So even more important, get in touch with someone like Eduardo.
If you see this podcast next year,
it might be out of date.
Absolutely.
But a lot of the information when I first moved here is still much the same. But it was a lot easier for me to get my temporary resident visa than my permanent, and now I'm a Mexican citizen.
Oh, congratulations.
So Mexican citizens, you can vote, right? I can't take political office because I wasn't born here, right? Or can I?
The Constitution says in every case, I think for Mexican president, no. But for another, you have to be born in Mexico.
But some positions, maybe
some position, no, just to be Mexican.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to run for politics. No, not in the cards for me. Okay, so that is temporary, permanent resident. What about cost? What is the cost to get a temporary resident visa inclusive of your fee?
It's around, in dollars, it's like $580, something like that.
So it's a nominal amount, not a huge amount.
Not a huge amount, and the permanent is like $750, something like that.
And then if someone is already a permanent resident visa holder and wants to be a Mexican citizen,
that is a possibility, but now it's more difficult. The government is getting this, putting the possibility for somebody to help
Okay.
That in my case, I used to do citizenship, but now I'm not doing anymore because I believe the office in La Paz was closed because COVID and some internal problems. And every citizenship process, you have to go to Mexico City.
Oh, okay. So it definitely makes it more difficult. So it's a
Right
good
now,
thing
yes.
I did that years ago.
3 or 4 years ago was possible, but
do they still have the exam that you have to take in Spanish?
It's more difficult now.
Oh, it is?
If you are less than 60, yes. There was a time that they give you 100 questions and you just study it and memorize. But now they give you several books, how do you say, the biography?
No.
And you need to learn and to...
Yeah, because it's culture, it's history, politics, it's geography, capitals, the number of states. Don't ask me because I forgot it all after I studied.
No. Many people that I know that they become Mexicans years ago, they don't speak Spanish.
And they passed it, right?
They passed it, or they did a very easy test, something like. Because if you have the question and answers, just memorize them.
Yeah, it made it really easy. Well, this has been really valuable, and I'm sure a lot of you have found this very interesting, very valuable. But really, in my opinion, you need to use an expert because of the way the laws, the rules change, and it's just easier. I mean, $580, $700, inclusive of Eduardo's fee, well worth it. Thank you, Eduardo.
You're welcome, and hoping to contact me. You have my information.
Yes, we'll make sure to include it so you can get a hold of Eduardo. And everyone, until the next one, bye for now.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nick Fong Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel at youtube.com/Ronival Real Estate. And follow Nick on Instagram at NickFong_Ronival. Ready to find your Baja dream home? Check out the latest property listings at Ronival.com or findmexicohouses.com. Hasta luego.